Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Melinda. Good morning, Tanya. Good morning, Sonia.
Hey, y'all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Got to put on my southern drawer for you. Had to work a lot this weekend.
Looks like you're doing really well.
You know, when you change your thinking, a whole lot changes for you, Lewis.
Absolutely.
That's true.
100%. That couldn't be more true.
And besides, I did about 5 jumping jacks before I jumped on the call.
Nice.
I'm taking heed to what you guys say about energy.
Oh, yeah. Exercise.
Morning, Lewis.
Morning, Jim.
I did invite a guest to the call this morning. His name is Kenneth.
Awesome. Great.
He's
Does
a
he have the link?
KW agent, so I hope he remembers to wake up and join in.
You said he's an agent from Georgia?
Yeah, but he's with Keller Williams.
Oh, KW. Okay, okay.
Yeah, and I kind of crashed his open house yesterday. He wasn't busy, so I showed him the video. What else am I supposed to do?
Oh, wow. You went overtime. That's good.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you're going to miss every opportunity you don't take. So for sure. That is really good. Yeah. You know what? Open houses are really great. I mean, especially when things start to die down, agents are just sitting there like doing nothing. What better opportunity to get them to watch that video when they're literally there scrolling through their social media feed?
That's exactly what I did. I knew I wasn't interested in that house. I was just seeing what kind of traffic there was.
Yeah. And meet a new agent.
Yep.
Did it warm up in Georgia? I'm sure it did, right?
Yeah, it did. We're just green around here. It doesn't make sense going to the car wash, but yeah, it did warm up pretty good.
Yeah, it rained on pretty heavy here yesterday too.
You didn't miss nothing in Jersey, thanks to rain here.
You getting rain too?
Oh, yeah, rained all day.
Oh yeah. Well, this is the month for that. April showers bring May flowers, right? That's how they say.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Ivania. All right, I think we're going to give everybody just about 1 more minute and then we'll get started with our training for today.
While you're setting up, I did your video with Facebook ads.
Oh, you did? Good.
Yes. So I'm waiting for approval for it.
Yeah.
So
You'll get
let's
it pretty
see how it goes, and I will let you know how well it's doing.
good.
It's funny that you're mentioning that because I'm gonna watch it today. I used to have an assistant. She's not with me anymore, and I'm listing a property this Wednesday, so I'm doing that today too.
It's awesome. That is so good. Congrats. Yeah, guys. There's the Facebook marketing stuff. Jim will tell you. Jim has done some Facebook marketing. So has Alejandro, and it's worked out well. But you got to be consistent with it, and your follow-up has to be strong.
I did it for a property back in October, and I called a couple of times, but then Tabitha and I have been calling every Friday, and we already sent like 3 people to get pre-qualified.
Mm-hmm.
And they still answer.
That's awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get started, guys.
I was gonna say, I was having problems running that ad again because I clicked the fair housing box and it's been rejecting my ad. I gotta figure out what's going on with that.
Yeah, if you put in a support ticket, even though it takes them a while to get back to you, it'll help you. All right, guys, ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. Okay.
Handling objections. Remove your personal feelings. A successful man is one who can lay a firm foundation with the bricks others have thrown at him. By David Brinkley. So, handling objections, how do you handle some of those unforeseen questions, circumstances that are thrown at you? This is why many of us don't like prospecting. This is why many of us get stuck cold whenever we're dealing with potential clients. So, as we've talked before about how to become a script master, this is really truly where scripts become highly important, because as you practice all of these, there's really not going to be anything for the most part that's unforeseen. All of these objections, you can handle it perfectly, you can practice it, and that way it comes off smooth without any hesitation. So always remember, it's not you, it's the situation. So you first want to remove your personal feelings. Great salespeople have an ego, right? And emotional strength. They can handle and distance themselves from the rejection. So remember, in order to be a great salesperson, number one, you have to remove your ego and create emotional strength so you can distance yourself from the rejection. So first off, let's just handle a commission discount. A lot of us would just start getting into all these different reasons why we should not discount our commission. Oh, you know, I've heard various reasons. Well, do you want to take these services off? Do you want to deduct the marketing? All the different kinds of things. But the fact of the matter is, I would handle it in one of two ways. Number one, I would just say, no. Do you have any other questions? Because what you're going to find 99% of the time, the client's just going to say, well, you know, I had to ask. And if there's any push, which very, very rarely there's any push after you answer the question this way, but if there is any push after that, I would just say, listen, I'm going to be your front line negotiator as we get your home sold. How would you feel if I just sit here and I end up negotiating against myself? Do you truly think I'd be a professional negotiator? So I would handle it in one of these two ways. Number one, if you just simply say, no, do you have any other questions? Then you're showing that you're a professional and you're worth all the time and money that they're investing in you. And so they just simply had to ask. You know, everybody wants to save a buck, right? So you can't blame them for asking. But where we're at fault is not knowing how to handle the objection. So the second one here is maybe you're a newer agent, right? And the objection that they throw at you is that they want somebody more experienced. I would handle that objection by saying, I'm highly motivated, and that's what brought me here to be able to meet with you today. Maybe even jokingly look around and say, I don't see anyone else here, right? So you can almost make a joke out of it, but show how serious and motivated you are. If you're in a brokerage office with other agents, then, or maybe you're on a team, let them know about all the statistics and the collaboration that happens within your office and the team and the support that you have, that you're not alone, but you're motivated, and that's what got you to sit down with them. And then, of course, we're all going to hear from sellers about timing. It's never the right time. So I would just simply ask, did something change to make you not want to sell? Put them on the spot to where they have to answer you. So they're going to use timing as an excuse, but you're going to throw it back on them and put them on the spot to be able to answer. Now, pricing, this is a big one. All sellers want the most they can, and of course, they always think their home is worth more than it is. That's only natural. So one of the ways that I would handle that objection is say, listen, it's not about you or how I feel about what the home is worth, but what the market is telling us that will yield the most buyers. I would rather see you decline 3 offers than never receive one because we are overpriced. You can even use the same scenario that I used in an earlier video about the 2 different car lots. Would you pay the same if you had the 2 of the same cars? Or excuse me, would you pay more if you had 2 of the same cars and one of them they're offering you a sunroof, right? So you can use different examples to kind of put it in perspective. So your action item for today is going to be practice these objections with your accountability partner. Practice so it becomes smooth, it doesn't sound scripted, and you don't hesitate when they throw you these objections. List to sell. It's your signature. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not trying. Jeff Bezos. List to sell. It's your signature. So we've talked a little bit about listings already and setting seller expectations and how important that is in the success of the overall transaction. So always remember, anytime you put your sign in the yard, it's your signature. Your name is officially on it. Your reputation is now at stake. So in saying all that, you're going to be a bit more choosy on which listings you take. You want to make sure that you're not buying your listing, that you're not setting it up for another agent to come in only to sell it at a later date. So if you're investing truly in your marketing and your staging and your photography and your advertising, then you're going to realize that every listing is an investment, and you're only going to take the listings that you're 100% sure that you can sell. So a few different ways to acquire listings are to call expired listings, or for sale by owners, or call up on your sphere of influence and sphere of power. Now, keep in mind, guys, I've talked about this and I'll say it again, expireds and for sale by owners are a great way to go after listings. Guys, these are people literally raising their hand and saying, I'm ready to sell my house. The reason why we get tired of going after expireds and for sale by owners is because we don't have an irresistible offer and we're not making ourselves any different than the next agent. That's why. Otherwise, if you do something to make yourself stand out from the crowd, the hundreds of real estate agents that are calling up on these guys as soon as they get expired, then you're not going to see the return. And one of the ways that you can do that is through a marketing plan. So with your advertising, create an advertising touch plan that is unique to you. I'm going to share my 52-point marketing plan with you. It can vary. You don't have to copy it verbatim, but find something that's unique to you. Don't just go into these guys with your standard listing presentation about how great you are and how great your company is. All of that is fantastic. At the end of the day, the clients care about results. So show them your results and how you're different than other agents and how you're going to market their home and how you're going to get it sold. Make sure if you have, let's say, for example, a 52-point marketing plan like I do, that you follow through with all those steps. You certainly don't want to be deceiving and giving them information that you're not going to follow through with. So I have interviewed some of the top successful agents within my brokerage and the brokerage that I'm affiliated with. And here are the top 5 things that they said really make a difference in a successful listing agent. Number 1, professional photography. Guys, this is huge. Do not go take cell phone pictures. Unless you are a professional photographer, don't play one. Hire the best of the best and work with somebody that's going to be supportive in your business. Number 2 is communication. This is key. It absolutely is mind-blowing to me how many real estate agents fail at communication. Guys, this is one of the biggest things in our job, is to communicate, to be organized, to guide our clients. And one of the best ways we can do that is make sure that we're communicating on all levels, not just with our clients, but other real estate agents too. You're not going to get any more listings if you're not returning the sign calls, right? If you're not returning your voice messages. Please do not let your voice mailbox go to full. That just means you're not following up. That means you're not organized. You should have all your communication returned back to everyone within 24 hours at maximum. Number 3 is going to be pricing strategy. So we talked about, don't buy your listing. Don't let it be overpriced. If your sellers are just completely unrealistic and overpricing, you may not look at taking that listing. You may choose to refer it on. If they're just slightly overpriced, then one of the things that I would recommend is setting expectations and having an upfront scheduling sheet. Okay, so for example, if I think they need to be priced at 300,000 and they decide they want to try the market, quote unquote, at 305, then I'm going to say, okay, we will try at 305, but we're going to sign a scheduling sheet that in 2 weeks, after I've promoted all the advertising, if we don't have any offers, then we're going to drop it down to 300,000. And then the following 2 weeks, we're going to reevaluate again and maybe look at 295,000. So there's definitely some benefits to listing it at 300,000 as opposed to 305,000. And the reason why is a lot of our MLS systems are set up by search criteria with price points. So if I'm on the buyer side, and let's say my buyer's price point is 275,000 to 300,000 max, I cannot go over 300,000. And I put that, maybe your house, your listing is perfect for me. But if I put that search criteria and you're at not even 305, if you're at 301 and some change, then your listing is not going to show up in my search criteria. So you have to explain, you have to understand these things and explain to your clients how that $5,000 or even just a penny over 300,000 could drastically reduce their searches. So you need to understand the pricing strategies. I recommend having an addendum if it's allowed in your area of a pricing strategy where you can reduce and they are committed and they have some skin in the game. That way they're not just blindsided when you come at them 2 weeks later and say, we need to drop the price, right? That's probably one of the biggest pet peeves of sellers from listing agents is they think we just constantly go to dropping the price. Have those conversations up front. That way you don't have to have that conversation later on. It's just expected. Everybody's on the same page. Number 4, home prep. Even my most beautiful listings, I still send in a stager for a staging consult because some of the most minor tweaks can make a huge difference. So I definitely recommend, again, if you're not a professional stager, leave it to the professionals. And number 1, my stager knows my photographer, right? They know that they work together on my listings. So my stager inadvertently knows how my photographer takes photos. She knows what angle she's going to take pictures at. And she literally stages around those angles. Also from a safety standpoint, my stager is going to request that my buyers declutter and deodorize and some of the unfun conversations that we have to have. And also, more importantly, depersonalize. So, you don't want your kids' pictures all over the MLS and Zillow and realtor.com and all these other places. So it's important to kind of depersonalize your home for your safety, for your family's safety, but also so another buyer can come in and truly see themselves living there. But also firearms and medicine is huge. So my stager goes over all of that with my clients. And number 5 is going to be your strategic partnerships, your tool belt of vendors. Guys, this is huge. You must have a tool belt of vendors. If you're new to the industry, start going to coffee with as many vendors as you can, see what they have to offer, and start making a list of people that you are going to recommend, or ask other agents in your office who they use. So list to sell, it's your signature. I've kind of hinted toward this already, but I'm going to talk about the 3 Ds to listing to sell: depersonalize, declutter, and deodorize. So depersonalize, we've touched on this already, not just for the buyer's sake to be able to imagine themselves in the home, but also for safety, especially if you have kids. I don't think any parent wants to see their kids' photos all over the internet. Declutter, this is another one that's huge. Everything in a home is considered for sale. So this is going to include your drawers, your bathroom drawers, your closets, your hallway closet. Consider everything for sale. So consider that a buyer is going to look through all of your cabinets and make sure everything is nice and neat and decluttered. If you don't need it while you're selling your home and you're in transition to your new home, I always recommend put it in a box, put it in the garage, or go put it in storage. If you absolutely don't need it, If your clients have kids and they have a lot of toys, guys, pick your favorite 3 or 4 toys and box everything up, because nobody needs to see all of that. So declutter is definitely a big one. And then deodorize. A lot of people have animals. This is another big one. I have been in $1 million listings that are absolutely beautiful, but they just reek of pet odor. And there's no way the listing agent can sell that house in the condition that it's in right now. So you have to explain to them, even though these conversations are hard, and that's where a lot of times a stager can come in, that they may need to replace the carpet or do some other means remedy to deodorize it. So create an advertising plan. We've talked about that. Don't do the 3 Ps, which is put a sign in the yard, put in the MLS, and pray. We want to do the 4th P, which is prospect, could be proactive, and provide value. So just to recap, we've talked about the top 5 things that make a successful listing agent: professional photos, communication, pricing strategy, home prep before you go on the market, and a tool belt of vendor. The 3 Ds: depersonalize, declutter, and deodorize. Your listing needs to be eye candy. Your primary photo is where buyers will decide whether or not they want to even look at the home. So you want to rotate through magazine quality photos. Does your listing feel warm and inviting? And when I say rotate, every week that it's on market, I tend to rotate through different photos just to change up the listing a bit. So your action item for today is to look through either your personal listings or listings within your office. And what do you see that could be improved? Open House Pro, maximize the day. Most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. Napoleon Hill. So Open House Pro, guys, open houses are one of the best ways, number one, when you get into the industry, to start meeting potential clients. But more importantly, don't look at it as just a way to get clients, but also a great way to practice. So we're going to start with your scripts and choose a partner to practice scripts prior to the open house. It's always a smart idea to bring either another agent or an affiliate along for safety reasons. And one of the things you can do for advertising is invite neighbors for a quote unquote preview, right? Use a flyer or a door hanger to door knock. So I always recommend at minimum that you door knock to 10 doors to the left, 10 doors to the right, and 10 across the street. Now, I would recommend going even far beyond that if you can. Now, the other part of advertising is a lot of us might put 1 or 2 directionals and then a metal sign in the yard. Do way more than that. Go above and beyond. Try to get as many eyeballs on the open house as possible. So I always recommend you can purchase these chloroplast signs. If you can get custom ones, even better. They're relatively inexpensive. And of course, check with your local HOA and guidelines and local ordinances. But if it's allowed, put as many of those chloroplast signs out as possible on the street, any major intersection that's nearby, but also in front of the house. And I'm talking 10, 15, 20 signs. Almost make it annoying, but you're going to get a lot more traction. And make your directionals colorful, blue, orange, yellow, whatever it may be, but make them colorful and something that's for the eyeball to see. Don't put your signs out your major sign, not all the directionals, but any later than Thursday or Friday evening. Do not just go put it out an hour before the open house. Your neighbors and everyone needs a chance to see the signs prior to the open house. And then also run your advertising ads for the open house no later than Wednesday that week. If you're going to do an open house on Sunday, by Wednesday of the week, the prior week, then you should always know which open house and be prepared to go ahead and start advertising it. And of course, you can post it on the MLS, realtor.com, Zillow, Craigslist, Facebook groups, and even Facebook Marketplace. The list goes on and on and on. Run a Facebook ad. Run an ad for a minimum of 3 days within a 3-mile radius. Place your signs and directionals no later than Friday evening. Of course, check local ordinances, as I mentioned. And the day of, place as many directionals as possible on high traffic intersections for maximum visibility. Now, for sign-in, one of the biggest objections that I hear from agents is, well, I had a ton of guests, but nobody signed in. One of the easiest ways that you can get around that is when somebody comes in, you just simply say, for security purposes, the seller requests all guests to register. And say it again. For security purposes, the seller requests all guests to register. You can even, if it's allowed in your area, use a giveaway for them to sign in. Have a laptop or a tablet ready to show them comparable properties. Always lead with value. And you can even ask, now, I don't like necessarily following clients around. We do want to make sure that we're keeping a safe environment. And for the safety of the agent, always be close to an exit. Don't get yourself in a position where you could potentially be cornered. But as you're having a conversation with them, you could just simply ask, do you already have an agent helping you with your home search? Now, a lot of times clients or just potential clients are going to say, yes, I have an agent. That's just their easy comeback. That way, they just get you off their back. But continue the conversation, continue talking with them as if you didn't even hear that they already have an agent. And you're going to ask throughout the conversation, oh, really, what agent do you have? Maybe I know that, maybe I can let them know that you are here. And that's where you're truly going to find out if they're telling the truth, if they have a real estate agent. Of course, we want to be careful with probable cause. We don't want to step on any toes if they are truly working with an agent. But our goal here is to really find out if they're working with an agent, who they're working with, so that way you can let them know they came through your listing. Okay. So create an open house drip campaign or follow-up strategy. You have, in order to maximize on any open house, you have to have a drip campaign, systems around how you're going to follow up. And I would always start with, as soon as you leave the open house, again, you guys know I love video text. Send them a video text thanking them for coming and that you're a resource and that you will be in touch. And then Monday morning, get started on reaching out to all of your follow-ups. Now, if it's your listing, make sure you update the seller. If it's not your listing, always update the listing agent, because the listing agent usually needs to report something back to the seller. So keep track how many people have come through, how many people had agents, how many did not, and then how many you felt were true, serious qualifiers for the home. So make sure that you send some brief report to your seller or the listing agent of the home. Follow up with leads immediately following with a video message and call Monday morning. So in the text message, I would let them know to expect my call Monday morning. And then, as I mentioned, always update the listing agent or seller with activity. So your action item for today is create an open house sign-in sheet and sign up to do an open house at least 3 weekends out of the month with either your listings or listings within your office if it's allowed. And the reason for this is I want you to use this opportunity not only to prospect, but also to practice. Lead generation, prospecting, and beyond. You must expect failure after failure after failure before you succeed. Edwin Land. So our marketing approach now, of course, in any sales, and guys, if you think you're not in sales, if you just got into real estate and you're like, oh my gosh, I hate being a salesperson, guess what? We are all salespeople. Even if you're not into real estate yet, we are all salespeople. If you're married, you're a salesperson, right? You had to convince your spouse to marry you, right? We are all salespeople. If you have friends, you're a salesperson. You've convinced somebody to be a friend with you. So we've got to wrap our minds around that we are all salespeople. And so I heard this years ago. I can't quite find out where I heard this, but there are 4, if you look at the plan, there are 4 subjects subject matters in order to maintain a successful business. And it's going to be, if you just remember a plan: prospecting, lead generation, appointments, and negotiate contracts. Okay. Say that again. Just focus on these 4: prospecting, lead generation, appointments, and negotiate contracts. And once you do all of that, we're going to look at the second box here. We want to create a workflow. We need to create a workflow funnel for every lead. Okay, so not just every lead that's coming in. You really need to have 2 different systems here. A system for every lead that's coming in. Okay, how are those leads going to funnel through? Do you know where those leads came from? But more importantly, a system for conversion. Because you can generate leads all day long, but if you don't have a system around really perfected converting those leads, and you just let them go, then that is money, literally money, dollars down the drain, money and time, more importantly, time. So you want to create a workflow for every lead. And ask yourself, how are you going to separate yourself from the pack? You guys already know I love video messages. That's one of the ways, but be even more creative than that. Do something that's unique and specific to you. And when you prospect, it's really important that you time block and you turn off distractions. So this is when I like to call it the power hour, right? This is time blocked time every day to prospect without any distractions. If you have kids at home and you're in a home office, you need to let them know between 8 and 9 or 8 and 10, whatever your power hour is, that is time not to be disturbed. I would literally even put a do not disturb sign on my office door. Okay, so make sure that they're not disturbing you during that time. You've got to be solely focused. Like I said, the power hour at minimum 1 hour a day. I'd love to see prospecting 2 hours a day. If you get all your prospecting done in the morning, that is even better. And then you can set all your appointments in the afternoon. So you could have first thing in the morning prospecting, your funnels, your follow-up mid-morning, and then your appointments are in the afternoon. And the next point here is call, call, and call. Keep it simple. Ask a lot of questions and always lead with value. Your scripts need to be short and sweet. I've said it over and over again. I cannot emphasize this enough. We try to make it overly complicated. We've talked about complexity is the enemy to success. Keep it simple, ask questions, and add value. So we only want to be doing about 20% of the talking. We're just going to be asking questions and throwing it back to the client. And that's how you can lead with value. You can find out what they need and be able to lead with value. So if farming is going to be something that you're interested in, so you want to farm a geographical area, then you have to create a touch plan of a minimum of touching them 12 times a year. You cannot just send a mailer out once or twice and expect to see a return. But the great thing with farming a geographical area, maybe your neighborhood that you live in, then there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can send out mailers, maybe host a Christmas party. Of course, check with your local guidelines, what's allowed in your area. You could, deliver them pumpkins, right? For Halloween or Thanksgiving. There's all kinds of things you can do. Do a Christmas party, 4th of July, donate, fireworks. But you want to make sure that you are committed, because it's going to be an investment to farm a geographical area. So you've got to be committed, and you want to also make sure that you're not necessarily farming an area that's already dominated by another real estate agent, because that's just going to make it 100 times more difficult. So if somebody's already dominating your neighborhood, then you might just look at surrounding neighborhoods, right? And be able to farm those areas. Always keep in mind, marketing should not exceed 10% of your gross commission income. You want to track your marketing, because as much as we want to market and get ourselves out there, you don't want to be breaking the bank. So track your return on investment. So your action item for today is going to be to complete the lead generation worksheet in your action guide. A 10 by 10 formula. How to generate 100 leads in 10 days. 10x everything you think is going to create results. Don't be reasonable, by Grant Cardone. So the 10 by 10 formula, guys, this is one of my favorite subjects, how to generate 100 leads in 10 days. And here's why, because I have proven this formula. This is the exact formula I used to use when running a team. I know that it works, but we're all about setting up proper expectations. You have to know your personal conversion rate in order for this to work. So if you generate 100 leads, right, and the average conversion rate, let's say, is 2-3%, these are some more of the organic leads, then you need to know that out of those 100 leads, then you can expect about 2 or 3 sales. We don't want to generate 100 leads and expect 100 sales. That's just not practical. We're not being practical with ourselves, and you're going to get disappointed. So you've got to know a lot of lead generation is just a numbers game. If you see here on the right, it's a funnel. So you've got the larger funnel at the top of generating the 100 leads, and then they get qualified, and then you start working with them, and then you actually get into the sales process. The very bottom is when you transact. So that's going to be where the 2 to 3% is. So I'm going to start diving into the exact formula of how to generate 100 leads in 10 days. We're going to start with daily task, and then we'll get into your weekly task. And it may seem a lot in the beginning, but a lot of this you can automate. And once you get it automated, I promise you it only takes literally minutes to get all this done. So we'll start with 10 posts to Craigslist. Yes, Craigslist is not dead yet. There's a lot of leads that are generated every day on Craigslist for free. And so, you know, we've talked about having a website and IDX, the Internet Data Exchange, and a CRM. You've got to make sure you have all those systems in place. And ideally, I'd love for you to have an IDX that can actually syndicate directly to Craigslist. The one that I use and my brokerage uses, I can post literally with a click of a button. There's a Google extension. I can do 10 posts in less than 5 minutes. Probably wouldn't even take me that long. So again, we want to build systems around this so that it doesn't take you very long to do it. The second part is 10 posts to Facebook groups and to Facebook Marketplace. Always post your listings on Marketplace. If you have approval to post other agents maybe in your office, their listings as well, it's a great way to get more eyeballs. And Facebook groups. So not only do you want to have your personal Facebook page, but more importantly, I like to post to Facebook groups. So if you live in Tampa, Florida, then simply go search all the Facebook groups in Tampa, Florida that have to do with homes for sale. So there's a lot of homes for sale groups, typically homes for rent, or you could even create a group that has nothing to do with houses and maybe just post here and there, but mix in with value add content. And you can also find, you know, Facebook has a ton of garage sale websites. So there's all kinds. Go look in your market and find all the Facebook groups and then do 10 posts daily to Facebook groups and or Facebook Marketplace. And then on Facebook, you're going to do 10 sphere comments. So this is going to be your sphere of influence and your sphere of power. I'd like you to start with your sphere of power. If you run out, then we can go to sphere of influence. But you want to not just like their post, so your friends, those closest to you, you want to comment, because that's what's really going to help beat the algorithms on Facebook, where they're going to start seeing your content. So you want to engage with them, not just like. You want to like, comment, and share. But ideally, go in and comment. It doesn't have to necessarily do anything with Facebook, or excuse me, anything to do with real estate. But what's going to happen is they're going to start seeing your post and your content. So you want to build engagement. That is key. You want to build engagement. Otherwise, you're going to start seeing the same people over and over again. Key on this, you can actually put your sphere of influence and your sphere of power on a friends list within Facebook to where you only see their content. So that's going to help you kind of weed through all the mumbo jumbo and just, you know, going down the rabbit hole on social media. That you're very focused, you're very precise when you get on Facebook. So I would recommend putting your sphere of influence and your sphere of power on a Facebook friends list. That way you're only seeing their content and you can be very targeted when you get onto Facebook. Otherwise, it can be a time waster, as we all know. The next one is 10 industry-specific ads on LinkedIn. So we've talked about picking your ideal client. And let's say I'm from Oklahoma. And so let's say that my ideal client was somebody relocating and working at Boeing. Then it might be interesting to me to go to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a digital Rolodex. We'll go over it a little bit later on. But you can literally find everyone that works for Boeing. So I would want to add 10 ads on LinkedIn every single day, but make sure you're not just adding them, you're also sending them a private message, because on social media, adding friends, adding followers, adding connections on LinkedIn, none of that matters if you're not engaging with them. And then we want to send 10 outgoing check-in messages. And that's just going to simply say, it's going to be short and sweet. Hey, good morning, it's Mike. I'm just checking in to see if there's anything I can help you with today, right? So you're just opening the door to have that conversation. So 10 check-in messages. Those are your daily tasks. Now we'll get into your weekly tasks. So every week, at minimum, I'd like to see you add 10 new Facebook friends. Not just add them, but again, make sure that you are messaging them. If you want to take it further, you can take it a step further, make sure you send them a personalized video message. That would be even better. But again, friends are just a number count unless you're engaging with them. So use this tool to your benefit. Add 10 new friends, and don't be shy to add other real estate agents. A lot of us think, oh, I shouldn't have other real estate agents on my Facebook, my personal Facebook profile. They're going to see what I'm doing. No, you have absolutely the wrong mindset. You want to have the abundance mindset. And more importantly, if you start adding friends who are agents in other markets, isn't that a great way to engage and potentially build a referral database, right? But also add friends who are, add your leads as friends, because one of the keys is we're going to always make sure that our Facebook stays clean and professional. Not to say we don't put personal stuff. I put personal stuff all the time, but it's about building my own personal brand. And then 10 coffee shop conversations. This is one of my absolute favorites. So get out of the office, because your brick and mortar, your office is one of the last places you're ever going to receive a referral. You're not going to receive a referral where you're sitting down with other real estate agents in your market, most likely. So one of the best things that you can do is go sit down at a local coffee shop, put your laptop, make sure the back of your laptop has some kind of advertising or sticker, letting people know that you're a real estate agent, you're a real estate professional. Go put 25 bucks, 50 bucks, 100 bucks, whatever your budget is, at the counter with the cashier and say, hey, the next 10 coffees are on me, right? Just, I want nothing in return. Just let them know that, I sent them your way. So what they're going to do is, most people, if they have any kind of integrity, they're going to come stop by and they're going to say thank you. And then you can strike up a conversation. This is one of the most low cost, best leads that you can buy. If you go sit down at a coffee shop every single week and you invest $100, I promise you, you're going to strike up some meaningful conversations. And then the 10 by 10 by 10 for the open house, we briefly touched on this already. Anytime you do an open house, always make sure that you're inviting the neighbors as well, because neighbors naturally want to pick their own neighbor. So you want to door knock 10 to the left, 10 to the right, and 10 across the street at minimum, and invite them to a sneak preview. The next one here, 10 pop buys at local businesses. Key, local businesses. You are a local business owner, being a real estate agent. If you're an independent contractor, you are a local business owner. So as a local business owner, we want to support other local business owners. And one of the best ways to do that is just pop by and introduce yourself. If they have a place where you can put business cards, even better, but become known at those places, because a lot of times they're going to want to support you as well if they see that you're supporting their business. And the last one on here is 10 private happy birthday videos. So I actually just passed my birthday about a week ago, and I'm very thankful for all the timeline happy birthday posts that I received, also the happy birthday stories that I received on Facebook. But guys, there is nothing better and more memorable than you sending, it could either be personalized or an evergreen that you've created, a personalized happy birthday video via Messenger. That's going to stand out from the hundreds of people that are posting on a timeline all day long. And again, you can make one evergreen that's just generic that you can use for everyone, but please don't have your business name on there. It just completely ruins the whole purpose of adding value. Do not say, happy birthday brought to you by your friends at Mike Maruat at eXp Realty. No, you're just building a relationship. Their birthday is not an opportunity for you to advertise to them. It's just an opportunity for you to stay top of mind and to build a relationship. So your action item for today is to schedule your 10 by 10, your 10 weekly tasks and daily tasks. Welcome to your week 9 weekend challenger. So this week we've kind of continued a little bit from last week about scripting and how important scripts are, because scripts are truly the anatomy of a conversation. And so learning to handle a lot of the objections is key in making sure that you're not losing potential clients. So I often hear, not only from brand new agents, but even experienced agents, well, I don't know how to handle that. I didn't know what to say, right? Or they froze up. And that's purely because they haven't practiced those objections. There's virtually not any question out there that I have heard of in my entire career that I could not have been prepared for, right? So we talked about the importance of scripting, the importance of handling objections, and then also any listing that we take on, that makes sure that we're not buying the listing. And what I mean by that is that we are listing to sell, right? Most of us only get paid if we close on the property. So we want to make sure once we put our sign in the yard, that we put our name, our company's name in the yard, that is your signature, right? It's your reputation. And just as we've talked about in previous videos, reputation is part of the lifeblood of your business. So we want to make sure every listing that we take on, that we're putting our best foot forward, and that we're 100% sure that it's going to sell and it looks the best that it possibly can. And some of the best ways to do that is handling objections, being a professional, but also setting up the seller expectations that we talked about, and I hope you practiced last weekend. And the next part of it, we talked about the 10 by 10 formula, how to generate 100 leads in 10 days. It's the exact formula that I used to use when running my real estate team. I promise you that it works, but you have to be consistent. So make sure that you're scheduling your weekly and your daily task. If you haven't already, make sure that that is in your schedule starting Monday. And so your weekend challenge for this weekend is going to be really becoming an open house professional. This is also going to allow you to practice some of your scripts. So if you have an open house already scheduled this weekend, great, you're on track. If not, it's okay. I want you to shadow someone, only for learning purposes. I want you to ask somebody in your office if they don't mind if you just shadow and maybe practice some of your scripts on some of the potential clients. So, practice things like getting potential buyers to sign in by saying some of the scripts we talked about, like, can you please sign in for security purposes? The seller has asked us to have everyone sign in that has walked through. Things like that. Or are they working with an agent? If they say yes, and perhaps maybe their agent is not with them, well, how do you feel about that? Just asking a lot of questions. So if you don't have an open house already set up for this weekend, that's okay. Find someone in your office, again, only for learning purposes. Make it clear to them that you would just like to shadow them and have the opportunity to become an open house professional and to practice some of your scripts.
All right. You guys, so much to unpack from today's training, and we don't have that much time left. So what I do want to do with you guys is just open up the mic and just let you guys tell me what you got out of this today. Any volunteers? Is something you might have picked out from the trainings, maybe from one of the worksheets? I know she gave us some really great worksheets, like this one here, I think was really good, the 10 by 10. And I distinctly always remember her going through this with me, not necessarily the worksheet, but telling me that I have a 10 by 10 formula to generate 100 leads in 10 days. And that always stuck with me because it's a very visual type of thing. When you speak it, you visualize 100, you visualize 10 days, 100, you know, it's easy for people to remember. So this is excellent for anyone who needs to jumpstart their business or kickstart their business if it's slowed down. For a new agent, this is invaluable. Even for team leaders, like if you're a team leader and you've got people you're bringing in, this needs to be their quote unquote new Bible, you know, for them to just live by. Because if they don't do this, the chances of them kind of giving up and saying, well, I don't really know what to do on a daily basis. What do I do? And this will keep them on track and allow them to at least have some kind of a roadmap. And then these weekly activities, like this coffee shop conversation thing, I'm going to try that this week, and I'm going to get back to you guys next week and let you know how it went for me. Because especially in my area, like I can go to a coffee shop where there's a lot of tourists, and I can go there and just do the same thing, and hopefully maybe bump into someone who's from out of town or someone who's looking to move into the area. So this is really good. And obviously every area has different perks for doing this, but make sure you pick the right area, make sure you pick the right coffee shop, and, you know, not somewhere where you're not familiar with, but the area that, you know, you call your stomping ground, or the areas that you want to specialize in. What do you guys think? Tell me about today's training. What did you get out of it? What do you guys see yourself doing, or have you done?
Well, I too am going to do the coffee shop. I was going to do it last week, but my thing is I had to find one that will allow me to sit in it for a minute, or even have outdoor space that I can sit down. So that was the challenge for me, not doing a coffee shop last week. And I also got out of it. I don't think I was ever that bold to say, no, I do not discount my commission. So I got that out of it and found and understood a better way how not to discount my commission, and that it's okay to say, no, I don't do that.
Okay. Let's do this. Can you give me your realist fake laugh?
Say it again.
Can you give me your realist fake laugh? Can you show us an example of that?
No.
Make pretend like someone told you a joke that really wasn't funny, but you laughed anyway. Okay.
My realist fake laugh, that was really just about it.
That was perfect right there. Right? That was what you just did right now was perfect. Now, laugh like that and just say, no, I'm sorry, and then just move on to the next one. Any other questions? So if you laugh, it kind of almost comes off as a joke, like they were joking, right?
Okay.
So, like, would you discount your commission? And then you give a chuckle, like, you know, I don't really know how to laugh that well because I'm not a laugher, but some of you people do. And what you could do is kind of make it like almost like a joke, like, you know, they say, would you discount your commission? My dialogue coach was so good at this. Tom, if you guys remember Tom, he would say, of course not. Next question, like, or of course not. Like, do you have any other questions? You know, so you make it almost kind of like a joke, like they were joking when they asked. Because if you make it very serious, maybe that won't rub off the right way with some people. But maybe if you took it in the context of maybe they were joking, and you know that might maybe help the situation, maybe alleviate it a little bit. So that's gonna take practice. That's not like a novice move where you could just be like, ha 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 ha, no, sorry, next question. It's gonna have to take some practice. So this is where dialogue practice or dialogue, what do you call that? Role playing comes into effect. You guys really have to practice that uncomfortable question, because most people will say, well, like Michael was explaining, like, well, what if I take off this or I take off that? Then we can negotiate down. And yeah, obviously there's some textbook things you can say. And a lot of times, you know, it's in the benefit for yourself to discount it a bit to get the listing if that's all they're concerned about. If it's between you and another agent, the only difference is 0.5%, you know, you kind of have to think, like, is this person going to sell me out for 0.5%? And most people will. So you really got to gauge it. If it's just you against them, then yeah, you can pull out all your Jedi mind tricks you want, and you can probably get away with it. But if it's you against 2 or 3 other agents, and it's really all it's coming down to is price, and that's all these people care about, because you ask them, what's the most important thing to you? Your net, what you walk away with, or is it more important for you what you pay your real estate agent? You kind of make them think. Well, both. You know, I want both. I want to be able to get a good deal from the agent, and I want to net the most money. Okay, I understand that, but do you think that the same agent can get you the same results? I mean, different agents can get you the same results. And if they say, yeah, you know, I think any agent can do that. Well, in that case, then they mean they're valuing all agents the same, and all they care about is money. If they say that, if you ask that question, they might say, no, you know, some agents bring more value. then that gives you the opportunity to say, well, if a better agent will bring you more value, well, let's go over my 21-point marketing plan that'll get you the most value. And then when you go through that with them, then you say, any other questions? No? Okay, well, let's get started. You know, you kind of take the lead and you go that way. But some people will sell you out for a nickel. So you have to know, like, would you walk away from a listing if you're getting 4.5% or 5% or 5.5%? Would you walk away from that? Maybe not, because it's going to bring you more clients. You do those open houses, you get more clients, you might get more listings. So sometimes it's okay. And I'll be the one to tell you, you're not always going to get 6%. You're not always going to get 5%. You got to be realistic here. Can you fight for your commission when the time is right? Absolutely. I always do. But when you can't, you can't. You know, it's just a matter of fact. I know any agent who's been in this business a long time, especially luxury agents, they don't talk about this because it's like one of the dirty secrets in real estate. But the longer you've been in real estate and the more high-end luxury you do, the cheaper your commission. These high-end luxury agents charge 4% or less because I mean, they're $1 million homes. So don't get it twisted. If it's a $100,000 house, then yeah, you should fight for a 6% commission. But if it's $1 million home, you best believe that whole, no, I don't negotiate my commission thing is gonna go right out the window, because those people are not paying you, $30,000, $60,000 to sell their property when they could easily just find a broker to do it for 4%, who's probably been doing it for ages. What else did you get from it, Belinda? Is there anything else that you want to point out?
Yeah, that LinkedIn, my weakness there is LinkedIn. I don't understand the dynamics of LinkedIn, so I'm gonna have to do my homework on that.
All right, well, it doesn't have to be LinkedIn. If you have another preferred social media site, some people might prefer TikTok or Instagram, or it might just be, some maybe obscure or lesser known social media platform. It doesn't have to be LinkedIn. She's giving you examples.
Okay.
Real estate is a contact sport. Wherever you make your contacts normally, don't try to recreate what you're already doing, because it's going to become something that's probably not going to be sustainable for you. Try to figure out what you do on a daily basis anyway. Maybe it's a mom's group, maybe it's a Facebook moms group, or maybe it's like a church group. Maybe you guys have like some kind of like, I don't know, whatever it is. Just leverage what you have already. And if you don't have anything, then yeah, look up to see which systems you would stick with the most. I used to hate Twitter. Now I'm on Twitter every day. Like you got to really figure out what it is that you like.
Okay.
Anyone else want to give their opinion on what we learned today?
It seems like a lot, but I think what she said really is what we have to focus on, and kind of like what I live by daily and what's helped me not get overwhelmed is little steps every day will get you to this point. When I'm thinking right now, 10 daily activities, 10 weekly activities on top of all the classes that I take and all the trainings as a new agent and learning KV Core, it seems like how in the world am I going to do this? But I think I'm just kind of talking to myself and saying, hey, little by little is how you're going to set these things up and then again be automated. And that's the beauty of it. I'm really looking forward to that point, but this is all fun in the meantime too, getting there.
Thank you for that. Yeah, all it comes down to is time blocking, guys. If you time block and respect your calendar, you'll accomplish this stuff. And you also got to remind yourself, what if this wasn't your business? What if being a real estate agent wasn't your business, but it was your job that you did for a boss? And the boss said to you, every day I need you to do 10 these daily activities, and on a weekly basis I need you to do these weekly activities. And on top of that, you have to stay up with your training. You have to make sure you're always on point and you know what's going on in the industry. If you had expectations from someone else and they were paying you, you'd probably figure out a way to do it. But the fact is that a lot of us don't have that discipline, and we don't have anyone over our shoulder. It just comes down to us. A lot of times we talk ourselves out of doing these uncomfortable things because there is nobody really there cracking the whip. But sometimes it might be a good visual to think that you have a boss that's out there looking to make sure you hit your quota and that you hit your calls and you did this and you did that. But at the end of the day, the boss that you have is you. And maybe it's your family. Maybe they're relying on you. Maybe it's your future family. Whatever the case may be, just imagine you have someone who's actually keeping track and keeping tabs on you. And if that doesn't work, then imagine if you have your arch nemesis, your biggest enemy in the whole world, who's doing these things and you're not doing them. And that person's going to get way ahead of you and look at you from the rearview mirror. So whatever works for you, just utilize it and visualize it. It helps. Believe me, it helps. Anyone else?
Louis,
Yes, go ahead, Jose.
how are you guys?
Good, brother. What's going on?
Yeah, I just want to touch on Belinda's concern about the commission. Being in real estate such a long time, I've
Yeah.
had my shared experience with this stuff. And Belinda, what you want to do is you want to value yourself as a professional, and all of us, we want to value ourselves. So when someone tries to cut our commission, that almost, it's like Louis would say, you want to chuckle, you want to kind of have that chuckle, but you almost want to feel offended that someone is trying to cut, your commission or devalue you as a professional. So the first thing is to value yourself as a professional. And again, what Louis was saying is so true. I've sold $1 million homes, they pay 2%. None of them pay 2.5%, 2%, and the listing is 4%. So, knowing your market and knowing your value is probably one of the most important things. I usually don't even go for the 6% anymore, unless it's a $100,000 listing, $200,000 listing, an REO or something like that. Other than that, I go for 5.5, and then I'm already ready to negotiate to 5, because most sellers, if you're interviewing, most sellers will tell you, I have other agents taking the listing at 4%, 4.5%. So you want to be competitive, but at the same time, you don't want to devalue yourself, which is probably one of the most important things. I've walked away from so many listings because of that. So just want to share that out there.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jose. Yeah, Jose's actually, he has more time in the business than even myself. And Jose has been through every type of listing you could think of, from, when we had the crash and listings under $100,000 to $1 million listings. So you're hearing from an expert. So take that also with you guys as you learn things today. Make sure that you remember what we're saying, because we have the experience here. We know what we're talking about. We've been in your shoes. Will there be exceptions to the rule? Absolutely. There's always exceptions, but just keep in mind, every situation is going to be different. So you got to be agile. You got to be able to maneuver yourself in the right way. Ask the right questions, because if you don't ask the questions, all you're doing is making assumptions. Maybe you could get the 6% on $1 million home. Just because we're telling you it's not likely doesn't mean it's impossible. Have there been people who have gotten that? I'm sure. Would you have to do a 4% on a $100,000 house one day? Of course. But it just goes with experience and just getting comfortable with the conversations is really what I'm saying. All right. Anyone else, guys? If not, we're going to have to close out. We're already past our 10 o'clock curfew. All right. Okay. I think we're good. So let's go ahead and close out with our weekly prayer and just thank God for allowing us to be here. Thank you, Father. We appreciate the fact that you have given us another opportunity today to come together, Father, and learn this information that's going to better our business. Father, we ask you to forgive us for any of the sins that we may have committed since the last time we were here together. We ask you, the Father, to make us better individuals, better fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, everything, Father, just make us better people in general. Father, we ask you also to allow us to take this information and have a successful week and be able to be prosperous, Father. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Man, have a good one.
Cool, guys.
Thank you, Louis.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.